Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. In this sketch tutorial today, I'm going to be sketching the Local, which is in St. Augustine, Florida. I picked this reference photo because I love the flamingo floaties. It's a retro old hotel or motel, and I just love anything with a pool. So I'm starting off with pencil, and I'm just really lightly sketching in a little bit of the building, and I didn't feel confident going in with pen right away just because of the flamingos themselves. So I kind of wanted to get them positioned, and also um, the angle of them is a little, a little unusual, and they're right on top of one another. One's in front of the other one a little bit. So I just thought going in with pencil first was the right way to go. And I'm glad I did, because I could see I already have to adjust the bird on the left, or the floaty on the left. Sometimes, you feel like confident and go right in with pen, and some days you just need to give yourself a break, go in with the pencil. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's how I feel. So, and the heads of the flamingos, are anything curvy. Can be anybody could draw a straight line, but sometimes doing curves on angles and things like that can be a little tricky. So I think the pencil was good. I'm sketching on a piece of Strathmore 400 series watercolor paper, 140 pound. It's a very nice quality paper. I bought a book of it. It's, I think, 12 by 18. So I actually cut 6 squares out of that. So I'm working on about a 6 by 6 inch size, and I like this. I like working on a smaller scale for me. 6 by 6, 6 by 8 tends to be my go-to, what I'm most comfortable with. There's the edge of the pool, and then there's a secondary kind of drop down. I'm going to leave that out, so I'm going to omit that part of the pool. I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to start with the ink now, and I've picked up my Micron 02. It's a nice fine tip to start. And I feel like once I get these two guys in, then I will be able to breathe. All right, the hard part is done. A few more little details to go on those guys, but I'm gonna put the pool in, the edge of the pool. So with the flamingo floats in, it makes things a little bit easier to judge where everything else in the background lays out. It's not always going to be a perfect fit, but it gives you a really good guideline for where those poles are and the rest of the motel. The doors and the windows. And there's that kind of, there's a front part, and then it kind of drops into the back, and there's a little corner there, and then there's a little light above the door, so I kind of stopped there. Another pole. And then we can finish off the back, or the rest of the back of that, where the awning meets the building. I'm trying to figure out where to go from here. And there's one more pole in the back there. gotta put the where the floor meets the building before I put the door in. And then I decide I'm going to place where the building meets the overhang. So then I can know where to place those windows and the door. Sometimes you just gotta go really slow. There's no rush. Especially when you're working with pen. You don't want to rush. And there's another little light fixture over that door. And then I'll place in the air conditioning unit. And double line that roof line. And then there's a little molding underneath the windows. And then that little roof line up on the top, that goes straight up from where the building curves, or the corner of the building is right there. So just follow that line up. And then there's another bit of building just above that. Another window. And I'm not sure what that is to the left. It's almost like a fence. So sometimes if you don't know what something is, just do your best and wing it. I'm not supposed to know what everything is. We just have to recreate it on paper. That's why a lot of times when I'm narrating, I'm like at a loss for words for what something is, and I'll admit I don't know, and then kindly enough I get lovely comments and people will explain what that is, which is so nice, because then I feel like I'm getting educated. So I'm just going to double line the window. And the door. So this motel is located in St. Augustine. It's called the Local, and it's very retro, very old Florida, which is nice. And a lot of these places are getting bought up by corporations and they're knocking them down. But there are people that buy these up and maintain them, and this is one of them. Sometimes corporations will buy them up, and sometimes mom and pop will buy them up and keep them running and keep the nostalgia, which is really lovely. It's nice that people invest their time and money into a business and don't change it or knock it down. There's some tile. I'm going to line up that tile with the side, the flooring with the side of that pool so everything lines up. And I wasn't pressing very hard, just really light. I don't need that to be so standout-ish. I just want a little hint of those squares. Do a little double line there. I love those little details are what really make it come to life. Those double lines in the doors and every little bit. As you push on, every little bit starts to help your sketch come to life. Now I'll finish off all the details in the flamingo floats. We've got the little black ends of the beak, and then there's a little bit of yellow, and then we've got the eyes. And then I'm going to put in, you could see all those little creases where when you blow them up and they're inflated, you'll get all those beautiful little creases along the seams. If you are not familiar with me or my channel, I have a video of, it's Panera Bread, and I have two pieces of art that are on an electric box in front of the restaurant, and one of the pieces, well, both of them were oil paintings that I did of rubber duckies, and one of the rubber duckies is in a flamingo float. So I love doing flamingo floats. They're really great to do with all those little details that you can put into the sketch or painting. So we're just about wrapping up the sketch part, and I'm going to go in with paint. And these flamingos aren't very bright, but I'm gonna brighten them up a little bit. So I've pre-mixed a little bit of opera pink and white, but I didn't want it too pink, so I put a little bit of, just a tad of orange into my pink. And I've got a light pink. The opera pink that I'm putting in now is just with white. I mixed a little bit of white in there, and that'll be the lighter part of the flamingo. Then the other pink there, I'm gonna drop that in, and that'll be our shadowing. I've got a number 6 round brush, and I did not wet the paper. I'm just going straight in with the paint. I like my flamingos a little bit pink, on the pinker side, which I think will go beautiful with the color of the pool. Just going to blend that a little bit. And then the color at the top of my palette here, I've mixed a little bit of orange and brown and yellow, just to give me that kind of orangey rust color that is in the details of the building, roof line and doors. And then we'll put that same color into the poles. I was thinking about it as I was using these brushes today, how old they are. I think they're 20. I think I took a watercolor class. It was the first watercolor class I took. And the artist's name was Maritza. And she was wonderful. And I can't remember her last name, but I took the class like 25 years ago. So that's how old these brushes are. And I loved watercolor, but then I went into other mediums, and it was crazy because I love when I see watercolor paintings, but I got hooked into oil and did that for so long, and I'm happy to be back using watercolor again. I mixed a little Payne's gray and a little bit of white for the air conditioner. I'm picking up my number 10 round brush now to mix up the pool watercolor, and I'm putting a little bit of cobalt green, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of cobalt turquoise, and a little bit of white. So I'm just trying to get the right shade. I'm going to apply some water to the paper and leave some of the white of the paper for the highlights. And then I'll go ahead and, once I get that water down, I'll go ahead and drop in that beautiful shade of pool water. But I love watercolor, and I'm happy to be back doing it. Over the weekend, I needed a piece of, I had a big canvas that I wanted to do an abstract on. So I did an abstract over the weekend with acrylic, and it was covered in paint. I had it all over my pants. I had to wash my hands. I dropped it all over the carpet. It's not my thing. It's too messy. That's why I love doing these small little ink and watercolor. They're so neat, and it's just easy cleanup. Supplies are not expensive at all. These tubes of paint go such a long way. And this is a ultramarine blue that I'm using for the tile straight, and then I'm going to add some white to that for the top of the edge of the tile of the pool. I mixed a little bit of ultramarine and white for the top tile, but I'm going to actually, I second thought that I'm going to wait for that other blue to dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to do the yellow of the beaks with a little cad yellow. Back to the number 6 brush. Little shadow, a little darker, and a little bit of brown to that color that was on the palette already for some of the darker areas. Top of those poles are in the shadow. That one door in the back's a little bit darker than the door in the front, but we will give a little shadow to the top of the door and the side. making that a little bit darker. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put in the rest of the tile around the pool with that lighter shade of blue. It's a hair too light, so I added a little more ultramarine. So I'm going to take the same color on the palette, add a little more white to that, a little bit of yellow. I'm working on a color, a little bit of brown, a little bit, I'm trying to figure out a color for that, the floor around the pool. And that works nice. Sometimes working off of the same colors off your palette's nice for your painting because it incorporates the same colors throughout, so it gives you your painting harmony. And then I'm going to go back over that blue again just to brighten that up. I'm now going to mix up the darker shadow of the water, and I'm going to use some more cobalt turquoise and some more cobalt green into the same shade that we used for the original pool water. And then I'll just apply that to the side of the pool there because our sun's coming from the right. And I don't want it perfect because we're in water and it's wavy. I'll be putting Payne's Gray into the windows with a little bit of white mixed into that. Nice light gray. And oh, there is I realized there's a table in the corner there. I left the table out. And I'll put the gray underneath the overhang. Going back to that same color that we used earlier, I'm going to mix a lot of white into that, trying to figure out the shade of that building itself. It's kind of a beigey little. The nice thing, the color that we use for the doors is, I'm going to do a little test here. The color we use for the doors is a good fit. Just need to add some white. And the shadow on that building, on the front of the building, is all the way down to almost the bottom, but I'm going to I'm going to have that shadow a little bit higher when we get to it. Make that back wall a little bit darker. Oops, I had a little bit of too much gray, and I had a blob of gray in my brush, or brown. So I'm just going to make the shadow just a lot higher, actually, along just the top. Going to bring that same shade across the top portion of the building. Little shadow underneath that overhang. And we'll just put a little something in that area there so it's not so white. And I'll mix a little phthalo light green with a little bit of cad yellow, and just drop that into my cute little palm trees on the top. And a little sap green on top of that. And then there's a little fire hydrant box. I'm going to pop a little alizarin crimson right into there, and then once that dries, we'll write, it says fire on there, we'll write fire on with the Unipasca pen. Going to add a little more color to the water. Add that shadow color. Give us the impression of some waves. Do a little shadow before we start putting in the pen work. A little shadow from those poles. So little details that make things come to life. So I've got the micron smaller tip. I'm not sure what size I have in my hand. I think that might be the 01 or 02, because I want to be really careful and leave the white of that eye. So I don't want to grab anything too thick. But since that end of the beak, we need more coverage, I will be using the 08. Which is the thicker tipped pen. These microns are really nice. I love them. We got the little blow up valve. There's little handles on the neck, sides of the neck of the birds, but I left that out. I love this image that there's two of the floats in the water. I found this reference photo on Instagram through a great blog, Beaches, Bar, Sand, Bungalows. She travels all around Florida and has some of the best. She's got a great eye to take photos, so I love to always see where she goes, read her blog. So check it out if you ever are looking for something fun to sketch or somewhere great to travel. She'll give you the lowdown on everything. Everything you need to know. So I have the 005, and I'm just putting in the little slats for the blinds in the windows. And the air conditioning unit, little slats in that too. just putting that the tile lines in, so straight up and down and then across. Follow those across, and they get a little bigger as they get closer to us, a little wider. And then just on some of those roof lines, I'm going to put a little darker edge on those for a little shadowing. And then I'll do the windows and the doors as well. And there's just a little bit of some little gaps where that underhang meets the building. So I'm just putting just a tiniest little detail of a gap in between those slats. Sometimes those tiniest little things just give it a little more character. See, just that little bit gives it something. So I'm going to put in the fire wording on the fire hydrant box with the Uniposca pen. And the numbers on the door, 115 and 114. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown paint to the hardware on the doors. And that was a little too dark, so I'm going to try and pull some of that out. And then I'll put a tiny little ring around the valve of the float. And then we are ready for some splatters, which I'm going to be doing a pink and a turquoise or aqua. Just add some more water to the paint on your palette, fill up the brush, and just tap it on your finger. Let it dry, and you'll get some beautiful splatter marks. I had a few more pink after the camera was off because can never have enough splatters. Here's my finished sketch with more pink splatters, as you can see. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. If you sketched along with me, I hope your sketch turned out amazing because this was a real fun one. It was different, and I hope it brought you some joy. So if you've subscribed, I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody for your lovely comments. I appreciate you all so much. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos that I have to share. And I want to thank you again for your time. Have a wonderful day, and bye for now.